The narrative in the offseason was always Betances, Miller, Chapman. Well, we know Chapman's not around for 30 games, or a little less than that now, obviously, 27. But Girardi also knew, Flash, that he could rely on Betances and Miller. He had to fill in some other pieces around that. We saw that today with Shreve and Yates.
Well, we did, but you love listening to those two guys because they talk about the other guys in the bullpen being just as important as the back end. And I'll tell you what, you listen to Miller and Betances talk, they're everything right about Major League Baseball, everything right about being a teammate. The most important thing is winning the game, but they give credit and they include the people who got the outs before them. That's what makes a good bullpen, not just the back, but the whole thing, Jack.
Some people are forgetful. We're not, because I remember we were doing a show at the Yogi Berra Museum, a hot stove show, and we talked about the big three that you mentioned, Bob, and all of us said, wait a second, don't forget about Jason Shreve. For 5 months of last season, this guy was one of the best middle relievers in the American League. He got tired. There was talk about maybe he was tipping his pitches. He changed a couple of things with Larry Rothschild, and then that got inside his head, and he said he was thinking too much on the mound. This guy is a very effective pitcher, so you add him to the mix, and now all of a sudden, when Barbado has a good outing and Yates has a good outing, Sessa is a guy that they're high on. You start to look at that bullpen, and you can see why the Yankees are excited about it.
And just a little sidebar, I'm kind of interested. Girardi mentioned that Sessa might be the only guy in the bullpen that hasn't been used yet. Brian Cashman made a trade in the offseason to get him. Mind a little gold maybe with Kirby Yates in a guy who has some Major League experience. But for Sessa, here's a guy who's still waiting to get that chance and maybe impress some guys.
Right, and I talked to Sessa on opening day about that. He's excited to be here. He's a guy who Girardi even threw into the mix as the potential Brian Mitchell, Adam Warren guy. It was Adam Warren last year. It was going to maybe be Brian Mitchell. He got hurt. But Sessa is a guy who could start or could relieve. He will get his opportunity. But I think when Joe Girardi and Rothschild look at that bullpen right now, they're very confident in every guy they have out there. Yates had rough numbers last year with the Rays, but in 2014, his numbers with the Rays were pretty solid.
You know, I think back to listening to Andrew Miller. Here's a guy who's been around forever, right? Been a closer, done everything in the game. And he talked about how he wanted to get that first outing out of the way. Well, think about Sessa now. A young kid wants to get his feet wet in the major leagues. He had to sit and watch 3 games. Now you're going to go to Detroit. Joe Girardi looking for an opportunity. That is the worst when you're a young player, just trying to get that first appearance out of the way. I'm sure it's going to happen in Detroit, and we'll see what he has.
I do think he's had the line of the year so far. He's wearing number 85. So I said to him, did they give you the chance to go to a lower number now that you made the team? And he said, I wore 85 in spring training. I'm going to stick with 85 because I had a solid spring. He said, no other Yankee has ever worn number 85. So I've already made Yankee history.
That's not bad.
So
yeah,
he's got a good head on his shoulders.